Hi. Today we're going to work on a self-defense technique from karate. There's a lot of different types of karate, so you might be familiar with things that have a different name, or sometimes James and I call the same thing by a different name. But so today the technique that we're going to work on is going to involve a heel palm strike, or just in my style we call it just a palm strike. So I'm going to hit the person with the bottom, the hard part of my hand right here, an open-handed strike. So to start with, we're going to practice that strike. So I'm going to come up, and my hand's going to come up at a little bit of an angle, and I'm going to aim towards the person's jaw. Okay, so we're just going to come up, strike with that heel part of the hand. You notice my hand's coming up and at a little bit of an angle. Okay, so why don't we do 10 of those together, and you guys can give it a try. Okay, so 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Now I've got my daughter Sadie here with me. She earned her black belt last year, so I'm going to show you, if you have a partner at home that you can practice with, how you can use them to help with your targeting. So hitting a person where you want to. All right, so Sadie's going to come in. All right, so there's Sadie. So we want to make sure that we're being safe. I don't really want to hit her, especially if you're new to studying the martial arts. Make sure you check your distance before you start striking. I know my reach, and I know where I'm going to hit her or not. Her reach is actually a little bit longer than mine. She can hit me from a little bit further away. So we're going to practice. I'm going to aim for her jaw line. So I'm going to do 2 palm strikes, and then she's going to do 2. Okay, then I do 2. And as we work this together, we can actually go a little bit faster. So again, in class, in black belt class, she just actually touched me. In black belt class, because we've had more experience, we tend to try to touch each other without really hitting each other. You always want to be safe working with a partner. Now, if you don't have a convenient partner at home, like your daughter, you can always use a mirror. I used to do this a lot when I first started practicing, because actually Sadie wasn't even born yet when I first started doing karate. So if at home you have a mirror, especially one where you can see from the waist up, it's a great way. Make sure you're far enough away from the mirror that you won't really hit the mirror, but use your own reflection to target in, and it's really a great way to aim for different parts of the face or the solar plexus, and get really good at striking. So the next move we're going to do, I'm going to show you the blocking move we're going to do in our technique. Okay, so Sadie will just scoot you over there. So I'm going to do something in my style they call a knife hand block. Like I said, James or Paul, their styles might call it something a little bit different, but I'm sure they have this. So you're just going to come out and go out, and I'm going to use my hand to hook a little bit. So again, I'm going to bring my hand up and out, and I'm going to hook it like that. And I'm practicing with both hands just so I can get good with both hands. In case I, used one or the other, I can use both. Chances are I'm going to tend to use my dominant hand more, but this way it keeps my left hand, I'm a righty, but it keeps my left hand doing things too if I practice with both sides of my body. So why don't we try a few of these? Okay, so in my style we call it a knife hand block. So you're going to come up, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, and 10. So I'm trying to work on that hooking motion a little bit with my hand. That's why you see my hand turn so much. The way you can practice on a partner this move, Sadie's going to come in again. And so she's just kind of extend her arm out for me. And I'm going to come up underneath, and I'm going to try to hook by her elbow a little bit. That's all. And then she sends the other one out, and I try to hook by her elbow a little bit. And then hook, hook. Now I'll do a few for Sadie to practice. So I bring my arm out. She comes up. She hooks. Okay, try to hook by my elbow a little bit. There we go. Go by my elbow a little bit more. There we go. So she's just practicing that knife hand block, that hooking motion. Again, if you have a partner, you can practice, or you can watch yourself in the mirror. In the mirror, you want to make sure you're coming across your body, but you're not way over here as you're blocking. You only really care about the width of your own body. Okay, so now we're going to put those two moves together to make our self-defense technique. So we're going to do knife hand block, and then we're going to strike. Okay, so knife hand block, strike towards the person's face. Now I'll try it with the other side. I'm going to do my hooking motion and my heel palm strike. Hooking motion, heel palm strike. So you can try it on both sides. If you're ever, gosh forbid, attacked, you will go to your dominant side and the side that feels more natural. But it's good to practice on both sides. So now Sadie and I are going to practice these moves together. We're going to do it off of a front choke. So she will come in and pretend to choke me. I know she probably really wants to choke me sometimes, being her mother. But all right, so we can give a little bow to each other too. We're going to work with the buddy now. So she's going to put her hands up near my throat, and I'm going to use this hooking motion. As I do, to make the technique a little bit better, I'm actually going to step back, and I kind of draw my hand into me. See how it makes her lean? And then, boom, I'm going to strike. Okay, so I'll do it on the other side so you can see the strike a little bit better. So I'm going to step back with the hand that I'm hooking with. I step back with that foot, and then boom. So I'm coming up through the middle of both her arms. So I hook, strike. Hook in, strike. Okay, now we'll let Sadie do it a couple times. So I put my hands near her throat. She hooks up, steps back with that foot, and strikes. Other side, she steps back and hooks and strikes. Go ahead, do it again, Sadie. Boom. Yeah, she likes to slap me. And then the other side. Now, if you're doing this from a seated position, you're not going to be able to step back, but what you can do is rotate your shoulders, and you can pull this hand in a little bit more. So just hook the hand in a little bit more, rotate the shoulders as you strike. Okay, now we're going to show this same move off of a different self-defense technique. You guys, if you're doing the Zoom videos or the Zoom live sessions, if you're watching the videos, you're learning a lot of different karate motions or martial arts motions. Once you put those motions into play, they become a technique. So I can use this motion off of different attacks. So this time we're going to do it off of a wrist grab. So she's going to grab my wrist. I'm going to do the same things. Now, this is the wrist she grabs, so this is the one I'm going to do my hooking hand, my knife hand block with. So I'm going to hook and come in and strike. I'm going to hook and strike. What I have to watch out for is she's got another hand. Okay, so she might try to hit me with that hand. So I want to hook. And my hand coming up to strike her naturally also is throwing a block against her hitting me. Now the other thing we can add to this, if you watch this hand, maybe we'll get a look. I'm going to try to bring this hand up, and I'm going to actually wrap over, if you can see that, and I'm grabbing her. Okay, so this will give me a little bit more power. Okay, I come up, I grab. And now I've got a little bit more control over her because I've grabbed her. Okay, we'll try it from the other side. Okay, so I'm going to come up, I'm going to hook. And I grabbed on this side too, and I'm striking her. Now we'll let Sadie try it. Okay, and I hope you're practicing the motion at home. Okay, so that time she did it without the grab. She can try it on this side without the grab. Okay, she steps back, she hooks, and she strikes. Now this time she'll add the grab in. Okay, so she turns that hand over, grabs with it as she steps back, and she strikes. Okay, so she turns it over, grabs, and strikes. So again, if you're in a seated position, you're probably going to have to pull this hand in a little bit more towards your body or your chair, and then rotate the shoulders for the strike. And then that'll give you some more power. So again, our motion that we're using is just a knife hand or a hooking hand and a strike. So whether it's from a choke or a wrist grab, think in your mind of maybe some other attacks that you could also use this technique off of. There's probably a lot of different things you can do with it. We just showed 2 of them here. The important thing is to practice a motion. When you learn something, practice it over and over again. In the martial arts, we call it, in Japanese, it's called mushin. It means no mind. So you want to develop muscle memory. Just like a person who plays an instrument, they don't think of the individual notes they're playing, they just play it. So eventually, if you're doing karate, taekwondo, kung fu, whatever your art is, you want to practice those techniques so many times that if you're attacked, you don't have to think about it. You just do it. Your muscles remember it, even if your brain is really frightened of the situation that's going on. I know I have techniques that I've literally practiced thousands and thousands of times. So keep practicing. Try this move. Hook and strike. That's all there is to it. Thank you.